Hello, my beautiful spooky besties. I am back with another video. This video is going to be all of the books that I read in the month of January. So in the month of January, I read a total of 10 books. I read 5 novellas, 3 manga, and 1 fantasy novel. I'm going to go ahead and go write down the reading order that I read them in the month of January. So starting with a carryover from December, I ended up finishing The Mean One, which I gave 4 stars. It's kind of hard for me to really talk about without giving like any kind of spoilers because it is a novella, so things kind of wrap up pretty quickly. But this is following the Grouch, and he is living with Max, who is a human, and they have a sexual relationship, but it's more of like a benefit from it. Like, there's no feelings from the Grouch going towards Max, but Max is like yearning for the Grouch, but he's wanting Martha. So this goes south really quick, like not like bad south, but like it takes a turn really quick at the end, and it took me by surprise. I did not see it coming. It just like mind blown. I gave that one 4 stars. I then went into Finding Hope, and this book is basically the female main character. She was left for dead, and this mountain man finds her, and we find out that he's an FBI agent, and he's doing everything that he can to find the person that did that to her. And then things kind of go chaotically, and I thought it was cute, like the romance. He was like wanting to protect her with everything that he was, even though they had just met, and it was super cute. I gave that one 4 stars. And then I went into a manga, 𝙁 and 𝙰𝚘𝚅, which I gave 5 stars. I thought this manga was so stinking cute. So it's following 𝙁, who is a Nosferatu, and she has this adopted daughter who is like a brand new vampire. Like, she's just a little kid, and it's following their relationship and like the developing stages of 𝙰𝚘𝚅 finding a friend and 𝙁 being overprotective, and it kind of like goes through the motions of like a child growing up for us humans. And it was just so cute that even though 𝙰𝚘𝚅 was 𝙁's adopted daughter, she loved her as her own. It was just so cute. The artwork was beautiful. I highly recommend picking this one up. Then I went into another April Lynn Baker book, which is the first book in the Cajun Gypsies MC series, and that is Stone's Redemption, which I gave 5 stars. This was the president and his old lady's romance. It was how they met, all of the things the obstacle courses that they had to go through with him being in the MC and people wanting to hunt her down and kill her. And this was the perfect setup for this series because you got to see like the rest of the MC club and like get a feel for their character dynamic. And then it goes in, as you go into the series, you start to read different point of views from the other guys in the club. but I loved this one. Stone is such a teddy bear for his woman. It was just beautiful. And then I went into a highly, what is the word that I want to use here? I guess I'm going to say it this way. I was forced into reading it, but in a fun, you know, friendly manner. My friend Stacy has been dying for me to read this series and all of the other works that this author has put out, but I read A Court of Thorns and Roses and I gave this 5 stars. I put this series off for so long because when I first found it, it was like in the super hype, everybody needing to read it, everybody like going crazy, books are flying off the shelf, and you know, it was just all that crazy. And I can't read a book if it's that hyped up at that moment. So I gave this a little bit of time to have the hype train die down. I mean, it's still a very well-loved, very hyped up series still, but since she was really wanting me to read it, I just bit the bullet and gave it a try, and I ended up loving it. If I'm being honest, was surprised how much I loved it. It was so good. I loved seeing the character development of Feyre going from the human world into the Fey world and just being this kick-ass, badass character by the end of the book, and seeing the romance development and just a kind of like a deep dive into a different realm than I'm used to reading from, because I'm usually just a romance person. I hardly ever really pick up any kind of like fantasy romance, young adult fantasy. I'm not too like involved in the fantasy community when it comes to booktube and book talk and all of that, but I was blown away. I was surprised and I fell in love with this series. The next book is the continuation in the Cajun Gypsies MC series. It is the second book, which is Freak's Justice. This is following the character Freak and his old lady and getting used to Stone's old lady being there. And like, as the series goes on, not only are you following the main characters of that book, but you're also seeing more development of the characters that you have already seen. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. It wasn't one of my favorites of the series. It was probably, out of the 4 that I have read so far, probably the bottom of the list. And then going into that, going up, is the next book I read, which is Dusty's Salvation, which I also gave 4 stars. This man was just a giant freaking teddy bear. He's so caring about the men in the group. He's very caring of their ladies. He's very caring and so teddy bearish towards his lady, and it was so cute. But that going up from there, I would put Stone's Redemption. And then going on to the next book that I read a manga called Spider-Man Octo-Girl. And this manga it's written as if it's a realm in the multiverse. And it takes place in Japan, and it's where Doc Ock is, like, his body and his soul disconnect, and he goes into the body of a little girl and kind of like sees the world from her point of view. He's getting comfortable being in this little girl's body because he's seeing world at a different angle, and then he's like, man, I could really use this to my benefit of being Doc Ock. So following them like bickering back and forth, she's wanting him out, he's wanting to stay, how they like agree on things that he can do so he can experience the world in her shoes, and then disagrees on the things that he's wanting to do, like take over things. And it's a wild ride. However, it was not a ride for me. I ended up giving it 3 stars. Unfortunately, I had high hopes. I was hoping we see a different angle where Dr. Octavius has a kid, and that's Octogirl, and then her, you know, ending up tearing the world apart like he did. That kind of dynamic. But it was not, and that's where it fell flat for me. And then going into the very last book that I read in the Cajun Gypsies MC series is Viper's Mercy, which is the top pick of the 4 that I have read so far. I love Viper. He is... his love for his woman, his protection level, just his relationship with the guys, he is my favorite character out of the series so far. And his old lady, man, she does not play. Mostly you're seeing these damsels in distress that need to be saved, but she is already a badass. She's like, you know, she's feisty. It like, they kind of have like the little banter back and forth where they're trying, like, she's trying to be like, oh, I don't need help. Like, she's trying to be independent, being sassy, and the spicy scene that came after it, absolute favorite. It did in a cliffhanger, and it makes me very, very sad because I have to wait until December to read the next book, but I will be impatiently waiting. The final book that I read in the month of January was another manga, and that was Boys Gilding the Lily Shall Die, Volume 1. I gave this one 3 stars. It was not for me. The storyline with the title just didn't make any sense to me, but it was more of the main character is like falling in love with this other female character, and it's surrounded by music, and it's this music competition and stuff like that. It made no sense to me at all. The art style was nice, I will give it that. It just didn't hit for me because I was confused through the whole story. But yeah, those are all the books that I read in the month of January. I will see you guys in the next video. Stay spooky, my friends.